the collection of different certain frequency, like area, such as alpha waves, could they be considered a sub-ego, like a mind within a mind, a collection of thoughts, a thought process? Thank you very much.
Yes, to all of it, if you wish to look at it that way, and if those definitions help bring you clarity. The vibration and the different states of being in the brain are the result not just of the idea of thoughts, but of the idea of belief systems, because it is belief systems that actually generates the physical personality, which then has the thoughts that go with those particular frequencies. But I know that sometimes on your planet, people interchangeably use the idea of thoughts and beliefs. But it is really fundamentally what you really believe to be true that generates the frequency state that you're in. And sometimes what you know to be true, which is beyond belief, which generates those frequencies, which then generates the thoughts that are germane and relevant for those particular frequency states.
Hello, Bashar. How are you today?
Perfect. And you?
Thank you. It's an honor to talk to you.
It is an honor to talk with you as well. What would you like to discuss?
There's a few things I would like to discuss, but I guess the main thing would be to ask you about something that happened when I was a child. Almost
Yes.
this stems from when I was a child. I grew up in Los Angeles, and sometimes on the weekends we would go to Mexico, a place called Tecate. We would go there for the weekend, and one night, Sunday night, when we were gonna come back, I my parents would have basically us pack the stuff up and take it to the car. I looked at night at the sky, and basically I saw a UFO there. Um, to me as a kid, when I looked at the sky, it looked almost, my imagination was like almost like if somebody put a sticker on the sky, which was a wall, but it was slanted and it had colored lights around it, different color lights. Then I guess society took over in my mind, and a thought was like, what if I get abducted? What if I never see my parents again? And I ran into the house. Being a child, I wasn't sure what to do. Now, with the perspective time gives me, I'm wondering, was that an alien reproduction vehicle, human, or was that ET extra dimensional?
ET extra dimensional.
It was.
Absolutely. You are part of the hybridization agenda.
Thank you. Is there a connection between, well, there must be, but I just want to see, between ancient Mexico, ETs, and contemporary current Mexico, since there seems to be a
Oh,
lot of activity?
absolutely. There is a lot of activity in that area on your planet. There are strong connections in the past and the present between humans and extraterrestrials and extra dimensionals in that area. Absolutely. Ongoing, has been going on for quite some time.
Okay. And this has something to do with me being a kid and witnessing that then?
Well, you're part of it as well. You agreed to be part of it. You agreed to be immersed in that energy. You agreed to participate in the idea of contact and hybridization and so on and so forth. All the things that are part of the evolution of humanity on the earth.
And that's why since a kid, I've been very strongly basically attracted to that. Basically, that seeing the UFO, and another thing would be ancient Mexico. You spoke about, or you mentioned Gukumat, Quetzalcoatl in some of your transmissions,
Yes.
tied to the crystal skulls.
Yes.
Um, but there's so much information out there that sometimes I don't know. I mean, what is what?
The
For
information
example,
you require will come to you automatically and synchronistically that's relevant for you. Whatever is not relevant doesn't need to come. You will receive the information that's relevant for you to help you move forward. It just happens automatically when you follow the formula. That's why we share it with all of you. It makes it easy.
yes, definitely. And well, I first want to throw in there to thank you so much for the information you put out, the vibration you give out, just for being yourself and giving that example, being that reflection.
We can be nothing else, but we thank you.
Thank you. I had a question about basically a couple of scholars that I've read about. They both are tied into work in Mexico. Very controversial, both of them, but the stuff that they talk about has a lot of parallels to pretty much things that you do. Um, so one of them is Carlos Castaneda. I was wondering if you could give me your perspective on that whole part of basically ancient sorcerers, seers, the whole thing about the tonal
Yes,
and the nahual.
it is a
Almost like,
journey of shamanism, an experience of the idea of your connection not only to nature, but as nature, an expression of nature, and a connection to the earth and the earth consciousness. So it's a journey of shamanism that functions as a representation, as a symbol, as a sample of the journeys that many of you can take if you are willing to connect to nature spirits.
willing to connect to nature spirits. Would water, bodies of water, rivers, lakes, oceans, is that a strong connection with with nature that
I think
that
you
I
know
can
the answer to
follow?
that. I think you know the answer to that.
Thank you. Lastly, um, well, the going back to the Carlos Castaneda thing, he was a scholar that studied in Mexico. He referenced somebody else who was also a scholar who also studied in Mexico. Somebody who, like him, is no longer here. We don't know don't really know what happened according to different stories. But this person, his name is Jacobo Greenberg Seilerbaum. And he ended up working with a medium, an open channel, who would channel in the spirit of Cuauhtemoc, the last Aztec emperor. He would do psychic surgeries through the body of Pachita, which was a famous shaman back in the 60s, 70s, around that time. In um, one of the paragraphs in the book that Jacobo wrote, it was Cuauhtemoc's birthday, and they made pretty much like a festival for him in the place where he would do psychic surgeries on people. I guess the procedure was kind of opening up to questions to the people who were there, and then they would proceed to operate using a blunt knife, and they would take out hearts or take out organs and put them
Is
back
there a
in.
question here?
Yes, there is. Basically, he would ask the person that was right there working with him. He would ask Pachita in the presence of El Hermanito, which was Cuauhtemoc, the last Aztec emperor. And he told him that he was reading about his life. And then he pretty much replied that he had told them that they wouldn't do human sacrifices, that he was witnessing what they would do, which would be psychic surgeries. I was wondering if you could give some feedback on that.
You must understand that it is important to know that all healing takes place in the belief system of the person requiring the healing. The idea is whatever makes sense culturally, symbolically, whatever is representative of connecting to your higher mind, whatever is understood in physical reality to be an illusion, can still have great power as a symbol to allow people to change their frequency and change the physicality of their bodies in ways that may seem miraculous, but really are just an indication that physical reality is just a projection of consciousness. So the techniques and the approach of those rituals that you're talking about were simply ways of hearkening back to certain kinds of ideas. We can't go into that story deeply, it would take too long. But the idea of doing the psychic surgery as a representation of the so-called past sacrifices that were done as a misunderstanding of a connection to extraterrestrial beings can be used as a symbol of the idea that physical reality is changeable, malleable, and it requires the belief system of the person to open themselves up, to allow themselves to change themselves with the permission that comes from relating to the cultural ritual that is undertaken by the shaman or the healer. Does that make sense? Do you understand what we have said?
To a certain point, but I was wondering if you could just clarify it a little bit more.
All healing is done by the person who requires the healing. The
Right.
shaman or the healer simply sets up the vibration, and in this case, uses an ancient ritual or represents or symbolizes an ancient ritual to express the power that is innate in every individual to heal themselves. Does this make more sense?
Yes, it definitely does. So kind of like with a lot of places, they say the healer is just a reflection, basically a conduit that lets the spirit come through them, and basically the person who's receiving this will get whatever they need to get out of that. Correct?
Based on their belief system and willingness to match the frequency of the vibration of the healer or the shaman, yes.
Hmm. In that particular case as well, this other, I guess he was a seer, Don Juan Matus, he explained that the person's technique as well was to remove doubt from the minds of everybody who was present there, because there was quite a bit of people witnessing these operations. And he described it as basically the spirit taking over and moving people's assemblage point. It was some kind of energetic configuration that they would see.
Yes, we understand. Again, people attracted to that idea are willing to let go of certain limiting belief systems, moving their so-called connection or assemblage or agreement point to the point where they understand that more is possible in physical reality, because physical reality is nothing more than a projection of their consciousness. So it's a ritual that allowed for a collective agreement to shift to a new understanding, making other things possible in their physical experience.
So is this what happened when they say that under the guidance of some ancient seers, entire cities in what today is Mexico and Central America pretty much moved their consciousness over to a different world?
Yes, shifting to another reality en masse. You're shifting all the time. You're shifting billions of times a second. But when a collective agreement goes along and harmonizes in their frequency to shift together as one culture, as one collective, then yes, they can shift themselves strongly to another reality where they may seem to completely, utterly disappear from the reality they used to be in.
And they enter into a separate, totally separate reality, another realm.
Another time stream, yes.
And is that what we're doing right now with this time of change?
To some degree, yes, you are.
Lydian prism that you were mentioning to
Yes,
me?
yes, yes, it's all connected.
It seems like that.
You will wind up on a different Earth and eventually no longer experience those that are not of the compatible vibration of the reality that you have shifted to.
And like you mentioned, we do this billions of times already, but it looks like the collective guides us to a certain place.
Your choices guide you to a certain place based on the frequency that your choice results in. There will be those that will join you in a similar kind of reality, but there will be those that won't.
When I try, I often have headaches, and I often get visuals of very upsetting, traumatic scenes. And then
Such as?
Um, often they're kind of rape scenes.
Yes.
And so, for instance, one time I was trying to do a past life regression, and then I was led by somebody I know in my childhood home into a room, and then that scene started to play out, and then I screamed no, and I was taken out of the scene, and then I haven't been able to.
All right. Do you believe this is something that actually physically happened to you as a child?
No.
Then what is the idea that it symbolizes for you?
The only thing I can think of is some kind of powerlessness.
All right. Why do you believe that you are powerless? Where did you learn the idea that you are powerless? And why do you hold on to that idea if that is the resistance that you are experiencing in your attempts to open up your third eye? What are you afraid might happen if you are successful in that?
I'm not sure.
Well, let's explore that idea. Let us
Okay.
say then you go through some kind of exercise or ritual and you are successful in opening up your third eye. What do you imagine is supposed to occur when you do that? What kind of abilities would you then have in your imagination?
In my imagination, I see my whole world opening up on all levels. I feel like.
What does that mean? Can you give us a specific example physically of what that means?
Physically. Oh, you mean in my day-to-day life?
In other words, you said your whole world would open up. What does that mean? What's an example of your world opening up? What would be happening that's different than what's happening now?
What would happen that is different than happening now is I feel that I would have a stronger sense of self and clarity.
A stronger sense of self. What do you have a sense of yourself as now? As powerless, as you said? Powerless to do what? Powerless to follow your passions in life?
Yes.
Why do you feel powerless to follow your passions? What are you afraid will happen if you do follow your passions?
I have to admit, I'm actually afraid of being myself.
Because what do you think will happen if you are? What are you afraid will happen if you do?
The only thing I can think of, and it doesn't even completely make any sense to me, is I have this idea that I'm a bad person and that will come out and I have to keep it down.
All right. I will tell you a secret, if I may.
Yes? Sure.
A, you're not a bad person. And B, because you are concerned that you might be a bad person proves that you're not a bad person, because bad people are never concerned that they might be bad. Do you understand?
Yes.
So you will always check yourself to make sure that you are staying on track in the vibration that you prefer to be in. You wouldn't even consider the idea if you were not a good person. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand?
Yes, that makes sense.
So there's really nothing to worry about, because you can always take the time to check to make sure that what you are putting out is the best possible energy with the best possible intention. So since you are constantly willing to check yourself to make sure you are not doing something negative, then you have the opportunity to realize that that check and balance system within your consciousness will prevent you from really doing something negative. And even if you mistake something and wind up doing something that might be considered negative, you will correct yourself. You will course correct as you go. And these are the lessons you will learn in life. And this is the process that you've agreed to go through to learn lessons and stay on course as to the true being that you are. Yes?
Yes.
And that's okay. That's okay. There is no judgment in this except the judgment you heap upon yourself. You're not judged by all that is. You're going through experiences. You are aware that you're going through experiences where you might make some mistakes or do things you don't prefer to do. And you are willing to course correct yourself and learn the lessons that bring you back to center. Yes?
Yes.
Then don't worry about it. Just move forward, knowing that you have this course correction mechanism firmly planted in your consciousness, that you will always pay attention to what you're doing and that you will do your best. And that's all that you can do. Yes?
Yes.
Are you a little bit more relaxed about this?
Yes.
That's a hesitant yes.
I
Are you still not sure that you will course correct? Why are you so worried that you will be a bad person? Who taught you that you are a bad person?
Because of
Or at the very least, that you're not necessarily a good person. Who taught you this?
my mom.
All right.
She told me I wasn't.
Do you understand that that's her fear about herself? And that she's just projecting it on you? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I feel guilty about the things I did as a child.
Such as?
I wasn't always the nicest to my siblings,
All
and
right.
I
And why
wasn't
do you feel guilty about it? Because you know it's not the vibration you prefer. Therefore, again, the guilt is simply an indication that you're checking yourself. You know that that's not the vibrational state that you prefer to be in. That's not the vibration that is true for you. But you have to let go of the guilt to learn the lesson that you've already learned. That's not your preferred vibration. Otherwise, you're just stuck in the vibration that you don't prefer because you keep choosing to feel guilty. So fine, that's not how you now wish to behave from this point forward. Let go of the fact that you need to keep feeling that guilt, because otherwise you won't move forward. You won't learn the lesson.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay. Yes, that makes
All right.
sense.
I know it does. That's why I said it.
Thank you.
Does this help?
Will letting go of the guilt allow me more access to my third eye?
Of course. Do you think that guilt is part of the idea of opening up your third eye?
No.
All right. Then open the door and understand that, again, even if you make what you typically call a mistake, you now know you don't have to feel guilty about it because you're willing to learn the lesson that helps you bring yourself back into alignment. This is all karma is. Karma, in its original intention, is called action. And it means you just take the actions once you recognize you might be out of balance to bring yourself back into balance. That's it. That's all karma is that recognition that you're out of balance and a willingness to bring yourself back into balance. It's not about guilt. It's not about punishment. It's not about retribution or revenge or anything like that. It's not about self-judgment. It's about recognizing that you are learning things and that what you are learning is something you can apply in the way that you prefer to, so that you can move forward and not anchor yourself to the past. You've learned the lesson. Move on.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Or will that do?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Do you have any suggestions on being more confident being oneself?
I just gave you all those suggestions.
Okay.
Because look at it this way as a paradox. You think you're not confident, but you're confident that you're not confident. So you're using your confidence to pretend you're not confident. It's not that you don't have confidence, it's that you're using your confidence in a negative way to pretend that you're not confident, because you're very confident about the fact that you're not confident.
Oh.
See the paradox?
Yes.
So it's not that you lack confidence, it's that you are confident that you lack confidence. So choose something else to be confident about.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yes?
Oh, can I ask one more question?
That was a question. I guess you need to ask another one then.
In my dreams, I always dream of being in someone else's home. Is there a way I can dream of being in my own home?
You're not at home in yourself yet.
Okay.
When you take to heart all the things we've just discussed, you will find yourself in your own home, metaphorically speaking.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Also, do you have any exercises or way of recognizing direct feeling of source?
No, don't worry about that right now. Just take to heart what we've already talked about. You'll find your way and you will have the experiences you need to have. Just relax.
Okay.
Don't be desperate and don't believe you're missing something. Just move forward in the way that we've discussed. All right? Everything will
Okay.
fall into place.
Thank you.
Relax. Enjoy. Good day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.